Hello, and welcome to Pi Anime Recap. A group of demons terrorizes a small village at the start of the story. The villagers have no chance of defending themselves and must therefore flee. Suddenly, a flying dragon appears in the sky, and a man explains that he has desired power since he was a child. He was convinced that nothing could be taken from him as long as he had power. As he speaks, the man employs a technique that causes all demons to flee. One survives, but it is devoured by the dragon. The man then explains how he obtained the power that he had always desired. He summoned powerful Ayakashi monsters to serve him and became the strongest in every way. On that very night, however, he reveals that it was the end of history's most powerful exorcist. He claims that his students were kidnapped as hostages because he sought too much power. He has now lost everything. As he passes away, the man assures his student that everything is fine and that it is not her fault. He then considers how cowardly the imperial court is for sending his favorite student after him. He admits that he lacked cunning but promises to do better next time. He begins a spell and explains that he will start over and try again. However, he will not fail this time, not in his next life. Later, a man recites an incantation and requests to be shown the power that the child in front of him possesses. The spell works, but one of the boys watching laughs because he didn't believe what he was witnessing was possible. None of the element stones on the magical circle are shining, indicating that the ritual has concluded and the boy named Saikyou has lost all magical power. The man expresses his dismay, and the other boys make fun of Saikyou for being an embarrassment. Humans and demons coexist in this world, and magic exists. We then listen as Saikyou explains to us that the Lambridge clan is an important clan of mages and he was reborn as its third son. He explains that his new body has no magic power at all, but it's not a problem since it has incredible spiritual power. Later, Saikyou thinks about how paper is too valuable, so he will try something by using leaves. After a quick incantation, the boy controls the leaves and states that his leaf shinigami are complete as they turn into animals. His brother Glee rudely asks what he is up to and becomes upset when Saikyou doesn't address him as sir. Glee attempts to bully his brother, but the crows protect him and Saikyou realizes he might have been too hard on his brother. The elder's brother named Ruft arrives to see if they're both okay, and Saikyou thinks about how Ruft was right to be suspicious since the crows only attacked Glee. He then explains that he has sent his Chikagami out so that he can gather information about this new world. Afterwards, Saikyou turns 7 years old, but no one acknowledges him, and he assumes it's because his mother was his father's mistress. Later, Saikyou works on his paper forms and is greeted by a maid named Aoife, who has brought his jacket. That Glee. Throughout, Glee arrives to call the girl a slave and mocks Saikyou for not being able to go to a magic academy like him since he can't use magic. Ladonia Magic Academy is a very famous school, but Glee explains that Sika's only hope is going to the army. Their father arrives to take Glee to study magic, and Saikyou asks if he could come along. Outside, the elder's brother goes first, resetting an incantation and releasing a powerful wind attack. Glee is next to say an incantation and sends out a fireball. He then asks Saikyou to try since their father is watching. The elder's brother asked that Glee stop taunting the youngest, but is surprised when Sika agrees to try. Saikyou then thinks about how he swore a vow to not seek power or to become stronger, and would rather not reveal his spells there. However, he can't stand to watch the strong attempt to exploit the weak and begins a spell. His technique is masterful and results in amazing fire and earth attacks. Everyone is shocked by the blue fireball that he created without an incantation, and Glee thinks it happened because he left some power in the wand. However, their father explains that there are cases of people who can use magic without being born with it, and it is said that the nature of their magic can cause the flame to change color. Sika asks if he could learn magic as well, but his father denies him. Since there are no stories of mages born without magic becoming great successes, it's pointless to teach him, but he does decide to give him a tutor as his brothers have. Sika would then go on to learn as much about the world as he could. As his father watched him closely, the days and months them pass, and Saikyou stated that he has not just turned 11 years old. He explains that in his past life, he had defeated and sealed many powerful Ayakashi and then forced them to serve him in battle. He points out that seal is just a word to describe how he sends them to another world. He is unsure of what will happen in this world, so his first Ayakashi will be his least threatening. After saying some words, he attempts to summon something, but when a girl appears, he is unsure if it worked and states how something feels different. The girl is ecstatic to see him, and the two point out how much younger she is now compared to their old world. They assume that it's due to the state of Saika's spiritual power at the moment or the influence of the new world. Saika explains that he was just testing things out and prepares to send her back, but she states that she is sick of the other plane and would like to hide with him instead. Later, Glee scolds Ifa for spilling water on him and plans to teach her a lesson. Saika hears the encounter though and explains that he has business with Ifa. Glee can't stand to see his brother stand up to him, but backs off and calls Saika a loser as he warns him to watch his back to Ifa, then takes him to a wounded monster and asks if he thinks he can save it. Saika states that he will give it a try as he pretends to be shy and asks Ifa to look away so he can concentrate. When she's not looking, Saika performs some magic and heals the creature, but she realizes that he must be able to use healing magic. The Ifa points out how amazing he is, but Saika says that he knows she is amazing too and shocks her when he reveals how he knows she can see things others can't. She tries to deny it, but he states that he has seen her eyes follow the spirits of animals several times. The Ifa realizes that he can see them as well, but Saika says that he knows she can see even more than that. She was told by her mother never to tell anyone, but Saika has discovered her secret, so she tells them about the elementals. They gather around magic, but things belonging to Saika, like his jacket, are different. The elementals are extremely attracted to his things but don't gather around him and are seemingly trying to avoid him. Saika wonders if she can control them, but she explains that she only managed to do it once when she yelled at them. Saika is glad to hear she can control them and thinks about how he was never able to do it in his old life. He had looked for someone with that ability with no luck, but a surprise to see that he has found someone like that so soon in his new life. Saika wonders if she has any interest in using magic, and she does. But Ifa explains that she doesn't have enough magical power in her to cast spells. He states that magical power isn't important and summons what he calls a Hido Ame so that she can try and make it disappear. After a few failed attempts at nicely asking it to go away, she yells at it and it disappears. Saika realizes she isn't strong enough just yet, but is definitely worth making an ally and asks that she let him train her once in a while. Days would then pass as they train together, and we rejoin the story on the day Saika turns 12 years old. Unlike his brothers, Saika doesn't receive a feast or any presents, and his father isn't even there. He is later approached by Glee, who explains that he will help Saika train. His mother was a mistress, so he can't be an heir, and he has no magic, so Saika's only hope is to join the army. Ruffed explains that the general is teaching them to fight with swords and they want to train Saika. However, just then the brothers are informed of a large monster that has appeared near the city. Their father drove it away with fire magic, but there is a chance that it is headed straight towards them. Saika senses it approaching just before it arrives, and Glee runs for his life as it is a fearsome beast. Ruff tells everyone to take shelter deep in the mansion and asks Saika to go with them, but is shocked to find that his younger brother is headed outside the mansion. The Ifa is being attacked by the beast, but he's surprised to see that they don't have a will of their own, so this means she must have controlled it herself. Saika then taunts the beast into following him and, as everyone watches, uses an exceptionally powerful magic attack to take out the giant beast. He states that the taming is complete since he is the poison that is harmless to humans but extremely effective against lizards. Everyone is shocked to see how easily Saikyou defeated the powerful monster with just one attack and now realizes how exceptional he really is. Saika accepts the adoration and thinks how everything was going just as he had hoped, as he remembers the vow he made to be cunning in his next life. One day, when an elder nude attacks their house, Saika takes it out with a single blast using his spiritual arts, and his family starts to acknowledge him. He has a feast thrown for him for the first time, and his father congratulates him on his accomplishment, saying that even veteran adventurers would have found the beast challenging to face. His father offers to reward him, so Saika asks him to allow him to study magic at the Royal Academy. His father thinks to how he always diligently studied magic on his own and agrees with the request. However, his father warns him that even though they are nobles, he will still need to pass the entrance exam on his own merits. Saikyou goes on to request for IFA to attend the academy as well as his attendant wanting to keep her unique ability around IFA. Panics hearing this, but his father tells him it would be pointless because IFA has no magic, so Saikyou decides to show off their training. He hands IFA his wand, instructing her to command as many spirit flames as she can and pretend to cast flame. Note she commands the flames and follows his instruction, shooting an impressive blast. Gly is shocked she could use intermediate magic and their father accepts IFA going as well. Gly objects to his father's decision, saying it would be breaking tradition to send two brothers on the same path to the academy. His father agrees with this and tells him he will be joining the Imperial Army instead because he had always played with his sword, instead of improving his magic over the years. Gly can't accept this and challenges Saikyou to a duel to see who gets to go to the academy. Their mother tries to stop them, but Saikyou accepts the duel and their father decides their duel will take place in the morning. Back in his room, Yuki appears commenting on the drama. There is a knock at the door and he gets a visit from Luft. His brother wishes him a late birthday and even gives him a gift because he always studied diligently. The gift is a glass pen. His brother goes on to apologize for being distant to him but is glad he turned out into a fine young man. He asks him to take it easy on Gly during their duel and wishes him luck at the academy. Later that night, Saikyou's window gets blown open and Gly demands for their duel. He couldn't wait for the morning and didn't want to follow their father's rules. He says that Saikyou just got lucky that a monster appeared, and he lucked into defeating it. Gly attacks with his flame note engulfing Saikyou flames, showing he can also use intermediate magic, but it has no effect on him. Gly follows up with his wind lance, but it's stopped by a barrier. Saikyou takes out a paper talisman, and Gly continues to attack, to no avail. Saikyou commands Gly not to move, and he becomes completely frozen. Saikyou scrunches the talisman's arm, causing Gly to feel the same pain. Gly is confused about his powers and is ultimately forced to concede. He passes out, and Yuki wonders if it was wise to let him see his power and live, but Saikyou says he promised Luft he would go easy. Saikyou thinks back to Gly, calling him lucky, but it turns out this was all a part of his plan. We see that 6 months earlier, Saikyou summoned a gigantic cyclops named Nudo. Despite its appearance, it is glad to be able to serve him once again, and Yuki boasts that she was the first one that was summoned. Having researched the monsters in the area, Saikyou tasked the Cyclops to drive the Elder Nude out of the mountain. As he goes to pick up his brother, Yuki wonders why he doesn't show off his true powers, calling the people of this world weak. But he reminds her that it was the schemes of the weak that ended up getting him killed in his previous life, so he will not make the same mistake again. Sometime after Saikyou and Ifa prepare to leave for the academy, Love passes on their father's words, telling Saikyou to study hard and Ifa to take care of him. The two leave, and along the way, Saikyou gives Ifa a necklace. She is overjoyed to receive it, and he tells her that they are mana stones, which will help her draw in the elemental spirits. They are excited about their new adventure, but Saikyou starts to feel sick, getting struck with motion sickness, having trouble with carriages even in his past life. He starts to feel better as they approach the Academy City, a fortress dedicated to pursuing magical excellence. Back at their home, his father sees that Saikyou should be arriving at the Academy soon. He thinks back to 12 years ago when Saikyou first arrived. A woman showed up at his door and disappeared after handing over her child. We learn that Saikyou is actually the son of his brother Gilbert, who became an adventurer after graduating from the academy, but they lost contact when his brother entered the infernal lands. Saikyou's black hair and eyes are rare in this country, and he started using magic when he was only 1, causing Luff to distance himself from him and Glide to become hostile after finding out he has no mana. He has always known that there was something strange about Saikyou, knowing there is something within him that could either let him become a hero or become a lord of evil. He feels bad for sending Glide to the army, but he felt it would be too risky to send Saikyou there. Instead, he decided to send Saikyou to the academy in hopes it would be a better place to nurture him. Saikyou and Ifa arrive, and they get to their room. Ifa is surprised he actually has a weakness. Saikyou tells her that her room is next door and she seems disappointed, suggesting that she should stay with him for the night since he is her master now. Saikyou misinterprets this as staying for dinner and says he has lost his appetite from the ride. Although disappointed, Aoife leaves to find him some food. Yuki bursts out annoyed, saying he has no clue about girls, and points out that Ifa is in love with him, even using her position as his slave to her advantage? And Saikyou is left in disbelief. Later, the two explore the city, but Saikyou senses a strange energy. They continue on to register for the entrance exam, and when Saikyou reveals he is from a noble family, everyone around takes notice. Aoife introduces herself as his slave, surprising the others. There is a magic tool that measures mana, and Aoife is shown to have an affinity with wind and fire. When it's Saikyou's turn, nothing happens and the woman is confused. Saikyou reveals he has no mana, and the woman tells him he can still register. The other students start to gossip, saying he will get in because of his family. Ifa gets mad hearing this, accidentally leaking her flames. The gossip stops as a girl confidently walks past. Saikyou notices something about her and she introduces herself as Amu. As she places her hand on the device, it radiates with a blinding white light, meaning she has a strong affinity with all four elements. Everyone is amazed seeing this, and Saikyou calls to her. He thanks her for stopping the gossip, but she says she wasn't trying to help him, saying that she is actually annoyed by him thinking he can get in without any magic, and says he would just get in her way. But Saikyou recognizes her as his prized disciple from the other world. Although her appearance is a little different, he can tell that it's her.
The episode started with a written test which was quite easy according to Saikyou. For Aoife, it was somewhat difficult as she didn't get enough time to prepare. Following this, it was time for the physical or magic exam. In this exam, you have to show off your abilities by striking targets placed in front of you. Saikyou had already taught Aoife fire magic, however, there was a surprise for him. Aoife was also practicing wind magic and had almost perfected it. Saikyou was over the moon after seeing this effort. Finally, it was Saikyou's turn. He didn't want to show off much, so he just used fire, stone, and ice magic. It was revealed that Onmyouji was even more impressive than Saikyou and Aoife. The results were announced the very next day, and guess what? Aoife had placed higher than Saikyou because of physical exam. Saikyou was in shock. Onmyouji had placed first OFC. Both of them had passed the test and it was time for the opening ceremony. On their way, Saikyou discovered a weird magic circle. He neglected it considering that it is the school's property. Well, I believe Saikyou realized what that magic circle is and was playing dumb. Onmyouji was supposed to present the introductory speech, and as she was speaking, Saikyou realized that something was wrong. 3 lesser demons destroyed the wall and entered the ceremony hall. Onmyouji and the others tried to stop them. Meanwhile, Saikyou identified the caster of that magic circle and immediately teleported over to stop him. It was time for some real battle. The demon warned Saikyou that he cannot defeat him alone, but Saikyou was confident in his abilities. The demon summoned more of his servants, but they were far too weak for Saikyou. The interesting thing here is that the demon can see Saikyou's hit Ogata. The demon introduced himself as Gold Gallios. In the beginning, it looked like he was overpowering Saikyou, as he even managed to rip his arm off. He can use dark teleportation and was too quick for him. He even killed him using his swords. However, the tables turned pretty quickly. Saikyou was not known as the strongest exorcist for no reason. Using reincarnation magic, he brought himself back to life. Gold tried to kill him once again, but all in vain. It was Saikyou's time to take revenge. Gull's main purpose was to kill Onmyouji before she could become any more strong. The demons feared that she might be the legendary hero. Saikyou used a lot of abilities to kill Gull. However, the demon managed to dodge all of them using his teleportation magic. Saikyou's last resort was to summon a dragon. The dragon completely swallowed Gull, and it was the end of the battle. Now, the interesting thing here is that the dragon tried to escape. This somewhat enraged Saikyou, as the dragon was pretty weak compared to his other summons. He somehow managed to bring him back. Meanwhile, Onmyouji had managed to defeat all the lesser demons herself. She was the person Saikyou was looking for. He wants to make Onmyouji the strongest and then serve under her. He does not want to become the strongest himself.
If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. We will bring you another recap